Program activated.
Hi, this is Goreilla. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about starting. One of the big mistakes I see that a lot of young sculptors make is that they jump right into the project. They get their base, they start adding clay right away, and they don't really have a direction, and they don't have reference, and they don't have a plan. I always suggest that you spend time and let the idea marinate, let it evolve. A lot of times I might sit on a project for 2-3 weeks sometimes before I'm really ready to actually put clay to base, and I find that it works really well for me because sometimes my first ideas, they're good but they're not great, and I think the more that you have time to think about it, the more you're going to find something that's really going to gel and that you're really serious about. So when I first started this project, I was thinking apocalypse. I was thinking this would be a fun kind of tongue-cheek. I really wanted to make something impressive because at the time I was thinking I was going to be competing, and I knew that just looking at the lineup of people who were talking about doing it, that I was going to need to bring the A game. And so originally what I was thinking that I was going to do was doing like a Mad Max kind of inspired piece. And so I was thinking I would combine Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg and create a master blaster with them. Martha Stewart being the blaster, the big guy, the muscle, and Snoop Dogg being the master, which is the guy on top. So when I discovered that I wouldn't be competing and that I would be working on just demos, I decided to scale back the project quite a bit so that I could keep things simple and I wouldn't be showing anything that would be overwhelming for a new sculptor. So at the time I was thinking I would revisit one of my older pieces, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to redo one of my favorite pieces, which was the Nacho Libre piece I started with, which was my first white cell. So originally I was thinking I would be doing it on the White Cell 2 base, just because that's the closest base to the one that I'd originally done. But the more I started doing research, the more I started looking at pictures of Jack Black, the more I realized I think he would be better for another project I have coming up down the way. So instead I shifted gears again, and I was thinking about maybe taking my own challenge and doing a celebrity. And so I started looking at a lot of pictures of Aesop Rock. And so at the time I was thinking, I would be working on one of these where I could actually show you guys how to use the eye sockets, putting beads in there. I also thought about, this would give me an opportunity to resculpt one of my favorite rappers and to have a little bit of fun. But as the challenge came out, and you had this element of kind of metamorphosis, that combining some kind of element to your piece, I started thinking that maybe it might be better to simplify it a little. And I still wanted to do something celebrity based, but I thought, how could I twist that? How could I add something a little bit different? Instead of picking like a rap star or a rock star, I think about, what is a celebrity? And it's somebody that we kind of celebrate. And so I was trying to think of, what kind of things could I do? I was also starting to think about, what do I do that I enjoy and have fun with? That I noticed that he had a lot of pictures with his cat Kirby, and I thought when I was trying to think of a way to combine elements together to create something that would meet the requirements of the challenge, I started thinking, well, what if I didn't do Aesop Rock? I thought, what if instead I combined Kirby with the apocalypse? Like, what would a cat look like in the apocalypse? And so I started playing around with that idea of how that might work. And then I started looking, streaming through Instagram, and I noticed that Jock Hooper her sister has a bunny. They call it Charlie the Trash Rabbit, and she celebrates him almost like he's a celebrity, and he's got his own page, and people go and comment on it. And we have a rabbit at our house, and I love watching the rabbit run around. He's got so much personality, and I started thinking about what would this happy-go-lucky rabbit like Charlie and our pumpkin, what would they look like in the apocalypse? And then I started thinking a lot about things like Watership Down and the Black Rabbit of Death, and how could that kind of work together? And so I decided that would become my focus. And so I chose instead my favorite white cell, which is the XX white cell, simply because she would have that long, skinny body that I could, really build up muscle to give it more of like a rabbit anatomy. And so I started really thinking about things that I could be adding to it. I started looking up clothing. I started trying to think about what would this rabbit be like in the apocalypse. One of my favorite scenes from that movie, or the original movie, the cartoon, was the mythology of the rabbit, and how the rabbit was, a hunter and hider and digger, and how he had all of these gifts that made him a survivor. And so I thought, wow, that is a perfect way to kind of fuse things that I'm interested in, but also trying to meet all the requirements of the competition. So this week I'm going to be getting together all of my information, all of my reference, and starting on that character.